Number 89. The Journeyman Project 2, Buried in Time. This is the second entry on AdventureGamers.com's Top 100 Adventure Games list that I've played before. And I gotta say, in addition to playing all these adventure games that are completely new to me, it is a joy to have an excuse to revisit some of these old favorites. And that is definitely the case with Journeyman Project 2, Buried in Time. This is the second game in the Journeyman Project trilogy, and spoilers, the first game had you playing as the nameless Agent 5 of the Temporal Security Agency, as you wear a modified spacesuit allowing you to travel through time to stop a dangerous madman from changing history. Buried in Time starts 6 months after the first game, and now Agent 5 has been given a sex and a name. You're Gage Blackwood, and future Gage is being framed for crimes against time. So he smuggles a time suit out and jumps 10 years into his own past and gives you the time suit, cloaking you just in time to watch future you get arrested and taken back to his own time. It sounds more confusing than it is, I promise. From there, you can start hopping around in time, but the first thing you'll notice is the incredibly small window through which you can see. Honestly, it's absurd that this much space was needed for the interface. It's possible that it was a technical limitation of the time, but still, if sacrificing visual quality for a bigger game window had been an option, I'd have gone with it. Anyway, from here on out, it's a fairly standard 90s point-and-click adventure game. Look in any direction by clicking the 4 arrows, or click the forward arrow to move. Click on items in the world to examine, use, or open them. Collect items in your inventory, examine them, or use them on other items in the world. The only real downside to the interface, aside from taking up 3/4 of the screen, is that all of the other game functions are controlled by biochips, which are actually items in your inventory. Want to jump to a different time? You'll have to scroll up to the jump biochip first, and if you're all the way at the bottom of your inventory, that could take quite a while. Want to save your game, cloak yourself, collect evidence, or translate something? Better go fumbling through your inventory for the right biochip. It's clunky, time-consuming, and completely unnecessary. You'd think with so much space in the interface, they could have put biochip buttons up here. But there's one biochip that's rather special, and I highly advise getting this one as fast as possible. When you jump to the future, our future, not Gage's, you'll find yourself floating outside a derelict space station. Find your way over there and successfully navigate the station, and you'll eventually come across the station's AI, Arthur. Arthur is, for lack of a better term, amazing. He's easily my favorite part of the game. Aside from being a great character in his own right, Arthur will provide you with insights and fascinating little tidbits of history while you explore each individual time period. He will also occasionally make jokes, and they're usually pretty funny. Downside, again, is that he's in a biochip, so accessing him all the time is no fun, but it's worth the effort. Be careful though, Arthur's voice carries, so if you access him at the wrong time, he can get you killed.
We must adhere to the
Keep Norman traitor! You shall not flee now!
Speaking of which, you can die in this game in a number of ways. I'd have more of a problem with it, except dying usually results in an amusing game over screen recapping the way you died, and this game includes one of my favorite deaths ever. Yikes. Remember to save early and save often, folks. The times and areas you can explore are interesting and varied, but again, they're crammed into that tiny window. If you can get over that, and I totally did, then you'll find some great atmosphere and intriguing things to find. There isn't a ton of music in this game, but what is there is enjoyable, though it could occasionally be sound balanced better. I sometimes had a hard time hearing what Arthur was saying over the music and the ambient noise. The puzzles are almost all inventory puzzles, and they won't strain your brain too hard until the end. But if you like, you can play on an easier game mode that lightens up on the puzzles a bit. And of course, you can always turn to Arthur if you need help. It'll take points off your end score, but I take a cue from Drew Carey here. The points don't really mean anything. This game was easy as sin to get running. It was on GOG.com for a really affordable price along with the rest of the series, but we'll get to the third game later. All in all, this is a fabulous adventure game loaded with charm and personality that totally earns its place on the list at number 89, and maybe it could have been a bit higher up. Maybe some of the ones up ahead should be lower, but then only time will tell. Next up, number 88.
I'll deal with you tomorrow.